Okay, so this is about Agnes Randolph of Dunbar, sometimes referred to as Black Agnes due to her dark hair and complexion, or the fourth Countess of Moray. She lived from 1312 to 1369. She was the daughter of Thomas Randolph, 1st Earl of Moray, and she went on to marry Patrick Dunbar, 9th Earl of Dunbar, and 2nd Earl of Mark. The Mark refers to an area... What?
Those are some names.
Yep. This is in Scotland, can you tell?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. Definitely not. Not at all. All I can say is that I want a name like that. Like all.
Well, I mean, you also want a last name like LaCroix.
No, I want my last name to be like something of like something. But like something big. Like something big and like almost unpronounceable, but like of something. So that people know that I'm important. But like the of something will be part of my last name and not like an actual title. So
Well, I think I may have found a possible of something for you to do. Because the mark refers to an area of Northumberland known at the time as Eastmark. Now, maybe it was because he had land holdings on both sides of like the English and Scottish border, but Patrick Dunbar, Agnes's his husband, had tried pretty much to stay like in the middle or neutral during the Wars of Independence, even sheltering Edward II of England at Dunbar Castle, and helping him escape after the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314.
what a good man. True neutral. But also good neutral.
Well, that is until his marriage to Agnes,
Oh no.
at which point like he sided with the Scottish, and Agnes is actually primarily known for her successful defense of Dunbar Castle against an English siege that lasted about 5 months or so in 1338. Dunbar Castle had been refortified in 1333 and occupied by English troops, but by the end of 1337 it was back in the hands of Patrick Dunbar, or rather Agnes Randolph of Dunbar, as Patrick happened to be away on military duties this entire time. On the 13th of January, 1388, an English army under William Montagu, 1st Earl of Salisbury, arrived in Dunbar and demanded the surrender of the castle. And the Duke believed that this would probably be like an easier castle to take over, both because he was one of the best generals of the day, and also Patrick Dunbar, the Lord of the House, was away with a Scottish army fighting an English army in the north. However, despite the fact that Agnes was only accompanied by a couple servants and a handful of guards, she is said to have replied, "Of Scotland's king I haud my house. He pays me meat and fee, and I will keep my good old house, while my house will keep me." Which is basically saying, no, this is my house, get off my land.
Get off my property!
And also, like, the whole reason that the English army was just, like, even in Dunbar was because this was Edward III's last real chance in, like, trying to replace David II on the throne of Scotland. And, like, when they came to the castle, like, Castle Dunbar, they had just come from losing a battle, which may have been why they chose the castle that seemed, like, relatively easy to take over.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, easy win, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm guessing they were very wrong.
Well, yes and no, because they were still armed, as, like, they were an army. And so the Duke of Salisbury had at his disposal these things called mangonels, I think, which are basically just big catapults that you could use to hurl, like, very large boulders. And because he had this, he set to work using those large boulders to just, like, demolish the castle's wall and defenses. And Agnes's response to having boulders thrown at the castle wall was to send her maids, dressed in their Sunday finest, onto the ramparts, which is like the little like walkways on top of the castle wall, and in full view of the English, dust down the damaged stonework with their white handkerchiefs.
That's such a power move.
Mm-hmm.
Like, me too.
'Tis but a boulder. So seeing as how, like, he's just been mocked by this woman and her maids, he decided that it was time to bust out what was also called, like, a sow, which was pretty much just, like, a very big battering ram with, like, a shed built into it to protect the men underneath. However, like, just as he was about to use it, she and, like, a couple of her guards just pushed over one of the boulders that he had like thrown onto the wall and destroyed it.
As you do. You just push all the boulders off the building.
Yep. Alright, so after that whole thing with destroying the sow with one of their own boulders, I believe the Duke of Salisbury tried to cut them off from receiving any new supplies. However, the locals had caught wind of this, of all that was going on and all the shenanigans, and was able to go past the English's defenses and make sure that they were still supplied, or Agnes's castle was still supplied.
We must protect the pretty lady.
It was more of yeah, the English.
That too, but still, we must protect the pretty lady.
Perhaps the most critical moment of the siege came after the English captured Agnes's brother, John Randolph, 3rd Earl of Moray. They brought him to Dunbar and threatened to hang him if the defenders did not surrender.
Rude.
However, Agnes invited them to proceed in hanging him on the basis that this would allow her to inherit earldom of Moray.
Me too!
Go ahead, kill my brother. It will only benefit me later.
Go ahead, it's fine. I didn't need him anyways. What's a brother?
This is the 1300. I had 5 more and they all died of sickness.
Well, if sickness didn't get this one, might as well be the hanging.
So with their bluff called, the English spared John Randolph, only for him to die in the Battle of Neville Cross in 1346.
Poor guy.
He got a couple more years.
I feel bad for laughing, but still, they set him free, and then he died. Alright, I'm sorry, fam, but it's bound to happen. Something tells me it's not a coincidence.
We were gonna hang you, and then he died 13 years later.
It's not a coincidence, Bella. It's too close. 13 years. It's the unlucky number, 13. Obviously, there's a
Clearly,
connection.
the Illuminati had a hand in it.
Absolutely.
So by the beginning of June, Edward III was becoming increasingly unhappy about the cost of maintaining the siege, and so on the 16th of June, 1338, just over 5 months after this whole shenanigan started, the English withdrew, leaving the defenders under Agnes Randolph of Dunbar victorious.
Yay! Woman power. Go her.